Well, hello. We already tried filming this one once out there on the porch,
Bad
and
things happened.
it started raining, so we were
Well, thunder and a
unheard.
dog trying to jump off the
Yeah.
top of the steps.
And then the dog came onto the
Yeah.
porch with us, and then we paused it and we're like, well, we can go downstairs and finish
Finish it up.
recording.
Somewhere along the way, we bumped the button.
Oh, excuse me, you bumped the button. I wasn't
Well, I
even.
wasn't going to
touching the
name
iPad.
names.
Well,
Anyway.
yeah, I know why.
Oh, well, okay. So back to where we were supposed to be. We were going to talk about...
Wisdom.
Right, not foolishness.
Yes.
We may talk about foolishness.
Wisdom is a hard to find thing nowadays. For that matter, from what I can tell, reading the book of Proverbs, it seems to have been a hard to find thing.
Yeah.
Basically, any days.
Solomon said at one point he couldn't find one wise man among 1,000. So, I mean, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, that is rare.
Yeah.
So with its rarity, its
Some people
importance.
don't even recognize it. They don't even know what it is. I mean,
yes.
They see wisdom, they don't recognize that that's what it is.
And defining wisdom is something that can be rather difficult.
Yeah.
I think
you had a good explanation of it.
The phrase goes, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad.
Yeah.
So there we go. I was wondering that the first time I said it. I was like, huh.
It would definitely be different.
Yeah, it would.
Unique. But yeah,
tomatoes might not be bad.
Or cherry tomato, grape tomato. They got to be fruits, right? Right. So one of the things that we think about is, having factual information in your head, and being able to spout that off is one thing. But being able to know what to do with those facts and with that information, that's where wisdom comes in. Is how does this knowledge affect my life, or how can I use it to affect other people's lives for the better? And that's where wisdom really comes in.
Yeah, knowledge is like, okay, I have all these puzzle pieces, and then, somebody who's really good at logic, maybe has some experience, is like, okay, I've put the puzzle piece together. But then wisdom is like, now what?
Yeah.
I've finished the puzzle, now how does that affect my life and the lives of those around me?
And what's in the picture in this puzzle? How is it going to be helpful, and what's it going to do? So the main way that we're going to have to try to get wisdom, I mean, some people say you get wisdom through experience.
Do you remember where the young guy goes and talks to the old man? Do you know how that goes?
Yeah, so the young guy goes and asks the old man. He's run a big company and all these things, and he seems to have accomplished so much, and he's like, how did you do all that? And the old man said, wisdom. And he's like, oh, that's great, wisdom, but how do I get wisdom? And he says, well, you get that from experience. Oh, well, how do I get experience? Making the right decisions. Oh, that's great. How do I make the right decisions? Making the wrong decisions. So, so sometimes, we get it. Okay, well, it just got dark for a minute there. That's okay.
Power went out for a second.
Yeah.
We're still here.
We're here. Fortunately, we have a battery on.
Yeah. We've had enough trouble filming this one. I'm not likely to give up on it now.
The wisdom would be...
wisdom would be like,
wisdom tell us. Day. Somebody doesn't want us to teach about wisdom. All right. So, but it is true that we do gain some wisdom through the things that we experience in life, and good choices and bad choices, and comparing the outcomes of those. Fortunately, there's a better way to get some wisdom instead of learning it the hard way. It's like you can learn that even though the light bulb is in the refrigerator, it's still hot. How can you learn that?
by touching it.
By touching it, you can learn that.
So
What's a better way to learn that?
the backstory on this is that when I was a little kid and I had, what was it, my third birthday party? Which one was the candles?
Maybe third. Well, I think just
Point being, I had a birthday party and we had the cake with the candles on it. And they had lit the candles, and I was like, I want to touch the little glowy thing. And so Mom and Dad were like, you don't want to. It's hot.
Don't do that.
Like, I want to touch the glowy thing. So they let me touch the glowy thing because they're terrible people.
He likes to learn things the hard way.
I do. And so I touched the glowy thing, and it was hot, and it burned my finger. And then a little bit later, I don't know exactly how long, but
I was thinking you touched a light bulb too.
I don't remember that.
That's the great thing about the LED bulbs; they don't get hot. But
so a little bit later, Mom's in the kitchen, and she's got the fridge open. So I'm looking around in the fridge, and I see that there's a glowy thing in the fridge. And I feel around in the fridge. And I'm like, it's cold in there, so the glowy thing in the fridge must be cold, which means
that one won't burn me.
Touch that one.
Yay!
So I touched the light bulb in the fridge, and I was not happy that the glowy thing hurt me again.
Yes, experimentation is one way to learn how to live life.
Yes.
And unfortunately, sometimes experimentation can kill you before you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody tries to just figure out if people can fly and jumps off a cliff to figure it out, they may figure it out, but it'll be too late for it to do them any good.
Yeah.
So there's another way we can get wisdom, and it's a better way, and that is to ask the person who has all wisdom, and that's to ask God. And James tells us that in James 1.
Wisdom is a part of God's character.
Yeah, wisdom has existed eternally.
And so if you read the book of Proverbs, it talks about how wisdom calls out to everyone, and
come and learn.
Wisdom is a good thing to get. And so in a couple of the sections,
get wisdom.
In a couple of the sections, it sounds very much like God, and how God is calling
almost like wisdom is another person within the Godhead. Mm-hmm. Almost, it almost seems like wisdom taught, and of course the way that the writer of Proverbs expresses that wisdom personified,
yes,
makes it even more seem like, oh, this is a being that has existed through all eternity, when really it's just wisdom is one of the attributes of God, and so has existed as long as just like truth, just like justice and love, that have existed just as long as God has, because they are part of who He is. So that's an amazing thing. The other thing that the book of Proverbs does when it talks about wisdom is it talks about the struggle of the wise person who's not listened to.
Yes.
And that's frustrating.
And
wisdom was frustrated because people wouldn't listen.
Talked about this a little bit the last time we tried to take this video and forgot to do it this time. Wisdom does not negate
free will.
Thank you. I don't know why I keep on forgetting that phrase. It's very simple. Wisdom does not negate free will. And so the people that are wise may have...
I wish it had negated Free Willy, because they never really should have made that movie.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't seen it.
You have to.
Maybe I just block these things from my memory. I don't know. A wise person may have the answers to all your problems. They may have been through 80 years of life and figured out as much as we can while on this earth.
And they can tell you.
Yeah, and they
from
can,
their wisdom,
they can,
what to do and what not to do.
But because of free will, you may not take the wise person's advice.
Yeah.
And many people use their free will to either go against wisdom or simply just not search for it and
ignore it
because it's hard. If you've read the book of Proverbs, you will know wisdom calls for people and wisdom wants to be found, but wisdom is not an easy thing to gather. It it's a lifelong quest,
Which
and
is
there
why
are dragons to be killed.
which is why we should do it the easier way. By listening to God, by listening to the wisdom that He already has. And that's what James 1:5 says. If anyone is deficient in wisdom, he should ask God, who gives to all generously.
And upbraideth not. That's what
That's King James.
that's King James.
And does not reprimand us.
Reprimand. Yeah.
And it will be given to him. So as we think about wisdom, the easiest way to get it is to come ask God for it. Now, I don't think that James means that God's going to just miraculously give us wisdom. I think he means that if we come asking God for it, His Word has already given us this wisdom. But I think there is a sense in which the answered prayer, if we are seeking the wisdom, seek and ye shall find, ask and it will be given to you, Jesus says.
Yes.
So the problem that we have a lot of times is not that we don't know the right thing to do, that we don't have access to wisdom. That's not the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is we know and we just don't want to. And so we don't. We do it the wrong way.
Part of the thing about wisdom that it talks about in Proverbs is that wisdom encourages discipline and self-control.
Yeah, and that's not always a pleasant thing.
Yes.
We don't want
And so while we may have wisdom, you may have that voice in your head that says, oh, well, you need to do this. This is the smart thing, the wise thing to do. Because of free will and a lack of self-control, the opposite thing may wind up happening.
Well, the amazing thing to me, too, that I've seen over and over again, is that someone can look at a situation in another person's life,
Mm-hmm.
and in 2 seconds, they know what the right thing for that person to do is.
Mm-hmm.
And then an almost identical situation arises in their life.
Yep.
And they're completely clueless. I don't know what to do. But you knew exactly what to do when it was the other person. It's so much easier to see other people and look at their situation objectively, and make wise decisions about how they should handle it than it is when we're personally involved.
Yeah.
And then we don't.
When you've got a problem and it's right here, it's really hard to figure it out because you can't see it clearly.
Yeah, it's kind of like, the pointillism painting. You get right up on it, and it just looks like some colorful dots. Yep. But when you back away and look at it objectively, you start to see a picture.
We're all colorful dots.
Yeah, we are. We are colorful dots. But I hope that we need to pray for wisdom. We talked about praying to know God better, and then we kind of took a couple of lessons to examine that a little more deeply.
Yes.
But we want to take the time with wisdom now, coming back to more things that we should be praying for.
Yeah.
We need to pray for wisdom.
We do.
God wants us to have it.
It is something that is very much needed nowadays. And as Christians, as children of God, we're supposed to be trying to be like Him. And that includes taking on His attributes of always loving, long-suffering and patient, wise,
truthful, honest.
all the various different characteristics of God. We need to be trying to take those for ourselves as well, because that will make us
more like Him.
More like Him. It will make us just better people in general. The other thing that we would like to say is that as amazing as wisdom is, as powerful as it can be, it is not the be-all, end-all to problems.
It won't solve everything.
No.
It will help make your life better. It will help you avoid some pain in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But it will not solve everything.
Yes.
Because obviously Jesus, super wise.
Yes.
Had the wisdom of God, had the Holy Spirit in Him. And in spite of all that wisdom, people still killed Him. So, yeah, it won't fix everything.
And even God, with Adam and Eve in the garden, God is, without a doubt, God is wisdom. Okay? That's basically the best way I can think to say it.
He's
God
never
is
done
wisdom.
Foolish in all of His existence.
And yet, Adam and Eve still wound up sinning against him.
And when he
So-
talked to Cain and tried to explain to Cain the wisdom of the situation he was in,
As
Cain
I
didn't
said
listen.
earlier, wisdom is discipline and self-control. So wisdom really only affects you unless other people allow it to affect them. And even then, if you choose not to listen to it because free will, you have free will, you don't have to listen to wisdom, then that can get you into some troubles. Solomon was the wisest human on the planet, and he still got himself into a whole lot of mess by the end of his life because
Very true.
he had decided to stop listening to wisdom.
All right. So, hopefully you'll listen to the wisdom that you already have. Hopefully you'll ask God for more wisdom and take advantage of that when he offers that wisdom. Make the most use out of it
Yes.
to make the most of your life. So, hope this was helpful to you, and hope it'll encourage you to seek wisdom and ask for wisdom and learn from those times when you have to learn the wisdom the hard way.
Yeah.
Wisdom is a gift from God,
It
and
is.
we can have that gift, and it can benefit us if we're willing. So, hope that you will be wiser than you were before.
And hope you'll be back tomorrow to hear more about something about prayer.
Yeah.
See you
Look at
then.
another prayer tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.